Real quick before I start this video, I just want to let you know that I will be blocking and removing any comments of telling me that my truth is not my truth, that my addiction is not my addiction, and it's not real. This is going to be a supportive place for people with marijuana and weed addiction to know that they're not alone. And this is just me sharing my truth. And yeah, if you're going to be a dick about it, I'm going to remove you. So... Hi guys. I don't really know how to start this video. I just feel like I need to make it because I'm feeling really frustrated with the lack of support I've been getting in this topic, and I want to spread some awareness about like how it affects me. I really didn't plan this. We're going to talk about weed addiction, okay?
Well, you can't get addicted to weed because you don't have withdrawal and there's no chemical dependence to weed. You can't get addicted to weed, it's just behavioral. And why do you think you're addicted to weed? What makes you think you're addicted to weed? I smoke and it's medicinal and it's helped save my life, so you can't be addicted to weed.
You guys, let's go back to the beginning, okay? I first smoked weed when I was 17 years old, which is great. Well, every kid, whatever, you know? I was 17, smoked in the back of a fucking school or something, and I was just sharing a bowl with 4 friends, and then we went to like this band lock-in after, and I pretended to be high. I wasn't really high. The first few times I smoked weed, I didn't get high. Probably because I was smoking like Mexican swag is what we called it, because it was just like the brown brick weed. It's just brown, no THC, right? So I wasn't addicted, whatever. I get to college, I would still just smoke randomly first year of college, once a month. Whenever it was around, not addicted yet. Fast forward to, let's see, was it April 2019? Not 2019, April 2009. April 2009, you guys. April 2009, on 4/20, I went to we called them head shops in Michigan, to get a bowl, because what would happen was I was living with a girl where I couldn't smoke weed, and so basically I would have to go to my friend's house every time I wanted to smoke weed. Still not addicted. What happened was I had gotten a fight. I'm really cold. I'm going to turn my air off. I got in a fight with the girl I was living with, so then I was basically always at my friend's house. She was going through her own stressors, and we were best friends, and so on 4/20/2009, we went to like 4 different head shops, got like 7 different types of bowls, had my first bong rip, and then basically after that, I had to keep smoking. I remember just feeling like I don't ever want to not feel this way. Fast forward to, actually that was right when I met this guy as well. And he was my ex-fiance, and he was I don't give a fuck. He was a weed addict, and you can't be a weed addict. I'm going to say a weed addict. He was a marijuana addict. And so what would happen would be we would sit down and roll like 25 joints with whatever weed we got, and we would just smoke it all. And I remember we were buying a 1/4 pound of weed a month. A 1/4 pound. Back then, that was only $500 because it was like middies. It wasn't good stuff. And so, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm screaming at you guys. I'm just so frustrated right now. I can't even talk to my community about wanting to relapse on weed because people tell me I'm not an addict, and they don't fucking understand how fucking far this goes in my brain and how much this fucking affects me. And I hope by making this video, there is someone out there who understands, and maybe I can get some support, because this is really, really hard for me right now. Okay, so 2009, I start dating a stoner, and then I'm basically smoking every day at that point. And what happens to my grades? I start flunking my classes. I start just becoming the stereotypical stoner, like just smoking all the fucking time. I didn't realize I was addicted yet, okay? 2000, and by this point, I'm smoking for every trigger. I'm smoking when I'm stressed out. I'm smoking to eat. I wake up and I smoke. I go to class and I smoke. I need to smoke before I leave the house. I need to smoke in order to be on a phone with my family. I need to smoke in order to do my taxes. I needed to smoke to do anything slightly stressful that raises my adrenal stress. I'm a very tightly wound person. I have a lot of anxiety. And so for me, it was like, oh, this just takes me from up here down to baseline. And that's like normal, right? That's like just me self-medicating, right? It was, but what happened was 2010, the ex-fiance leaves, I'm just spiraling more and more. And in 2009 is also when I got diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, and they put me on Lexapro and Xanax. And so it's kind of funny how my weed addiction and my anxiety diagnosis fucking line up at the same time. Okay? I'm not saying one caused the other, but it's just data I'm putting out there. And so 2010, depressed as hell. Senior year of college, I could not afford weed because I don't know how to manage. I'm learning how to manage my money. I literally have my tax stuff right in front of me right now. I didn't know how to manage my money. And so my best friend knew I was addicted and she had an inheritance. And so she was just buying my weed for me. And so it was like every fucking whatever. It was like, gotta go get her some weed. Gotta go get her weed. And so she paid for my weed all of like fucking for the rest of my college. Right? And so that's all the way up through 2011. And then I graduate college and I go home and live with my family in a different state. And I'm sober for a couple months. And all of a sudden I find myself scraping the keef out of this box that I used to store my weed in that somehow I was able to fly with and they didn't like detect it. I don't know. And I'm smoking it like a fucking crackhead out of a water bottle with some tin foil, blowing the smoke out the window. And then I realized I can get my medical card. I start dating this guy who grows. And so I'm smoking all the free weed in the world. He gave me mason jars full of free weed because he's a grower and he doesn't smoke. So he just gave it to me. And I'm smoking all that. And I mean, mind you, I was smoking in my dorm room when I could have lost my financial aid. You guys, for me, addiction does not have to be just physical addiction. Addiction for me meant putting myself in situations that could have harmed me, but I didn't care because I needed to get high. I had the cops called to my dorm room multiple times because someone saw smoke coming out of a window and they didn't know which window it was. So then I learned to adapt to blow the smoke into a blanket, but then somebody smells it. So then I have to like air out my window in Michigan in the fucking 0-degree weather. And then they go, we don't know. We can't prove it. I could have lost my financial aid and not graduated college because of weed. And this is 2011. I found a journal entry from 2010 saying I wanted to quit weed. I only quit weed this year, 2011, right? 2021. So basically, I graduate college. I move in with my parents for a little bit. I'm scraping keef out of a bowl. Out of a box. I finally get my medical card, and I'm getting free weed, so the money isn't an issue yet. I'm smoking. And then I find a guy. I move down to Los Angeles. He says he's fine with my weed, but this is embarrassing, but I want to talk about it. I was working like really corporate jobs, but I was such an addict that I would go on my lunch break and smoke weed in the fucking employee parking lot. I wouldn't even drive around. I wasn't that smart yet. And I would just smoke weed in the employee parking lot and just hope nobody walked by and smelled it. Living in fucking fear and anxiety all the time. But I didn't care because I needed to get high on my lunch break because I didn't know how to deal with the stress of a job. Okay? So I'm smoking before work. I'm smoking on my lunch break. And then when I get home, I spend an hour in the fucking bedroom just getting as stoned as fucking possible just to deal with the stressful relationship I was in, or the work stress, or to decompress, or whatever fucking reason I had, right? That went on for a few years. I got another job. And eventually I learned, okay, you should drive around. You should leave wherever you work and go drive around and smoke. But that's another risk too. I mean, fucking, I never got pulled over, but like all the times I could have gotten pulled over and gotten a DWI or driving DUI, whatever the fuck it's called, just to get high on my lunch break, that is addiction to me. So when people tell me I'm not an addict, it's like, you don't understand. Like, I've been around people who are not addicted to weed. My friend was just visiting. She smoked weed one time when she was here, 3 or 4 days. That is someone who can moderate. I cannot moderate. I can't smoke once a month. I can't smoke once a week. I can't smoke socially. If I'm smoking, I'm fucking smoking all day. All day. Okay? And so, basically I learned, okay, what if you move to vape pens? Because vape pens they don't have a smell compared to fucking weed. Because I was like hitting a bowl, driving around. Stupid. So then I'm vaping, and I have cartridges all over my car. And if I got pulled over and searched, they would have found those. Because I just didn't care, You drive to the dispensary, you break off your old cartridge, put on your new one, and then fuck it, I'm getting high as fuck. Whatever happened to that old cartridge? I don't know. And so I'm just trying to explain how bad it got. And so basically at some point, I mean, you guys have done the math, and up until like through 2020, like, okay, let's rewind. So I quit my 9 to 5 in like 2019, and then, the pandemic started in 2020. And so I was already deep in my addiction. And I had a guy who recommended, oh, you smoke so much weed, you should just dab. It'll save you money. Dabbing is super, super high THC. And so what that did, if you're dabbing and you're smoking weed, the flower is not going to work anymore because you're so used to the high THC count. I mean, in my experience. And so I would just spend more and more and more and more money. And then dispensaries started letting you put weed on a credit card. Don't tell me I'm not an addict if I'm fucking putting weed on a credit card. If I'm broke and I need my addiction, I need my fix, I need my hit, right? So I would basically, by 2019, I was smoking a lot, and then lockdown happened, and you guys, I was smoking an ounce of flower every 3 to 4 days. It wasn't like the super, super high THC stuff. It was probably like 180 an ounce or something like that. But I did the math, and basically I've spent on average $700 a month. I've been an addict for around 13 years. Basically, I've spent around $100,000 on weed. In lockdown, I was smoking about 8 blunts a day. What would happen would be I would get my ounce, and I would just sit down. I would grind it all up, pick out the little stemmies, and then I would just sit there and roll and fill up an entire mason jar of blunts, right? This is gonna get gross. Eventually, you guys, I wasn't able to take a hit without coughing up my fucking lungs, right? Every morning I would cough up phlegm. Eventually it turned into like brownish black phlegm, not pure black, but you would see like speckles of either inhaled weed nuggies or whatever tar it was. And the cough wasn't like, it was deep in my chest, sounding like I'm an 80-year-old smoker cough. Meanwhile, I wasn't doing anything for myself, such as investing my money. I wasn't taking care of my body. I was just basically smoking myself into oblivion to the point where I forgot I had responsibilities. And then the next day I would wake up and I would be like, oh shit, I didn't do that yesterday. And then I'd be all anxious, and then I would just smoke again. And I wouldn't get shit done. And for me, again, addiction doesn't have to be physical addiction. It doesn't. You can be addicted to gambling. You can be addicted to porn. You can be addicted to fucking anything. And so it's really fucking frustrating for me. Oh man, I'm like screaming at you guys. I'm sorry, but it's just, this is where I'm at right now. I'm so over it. I'm so over it. If you know someone who if you have someone in your life who's telling you that weed is not addiction, hopefully you can show them this video, because it gets to the point where you want to make money just to pay for your weed and basic living expenses. I'm not a millionaire. And so basically, I would break even every month. I would break even every month. I do live in Los Angeles. It's expensive. I have student loans. I have a lot of bills. But any of my extra income was not being saved, was not being put towards taxes, was not being put towards, which I'm finally, I got my tax situation unlocked. Thank the fucking God, because I'm sober now. But what happened was I would just let my life responsibilities go. And let's say when I'm traveling, it was like, how am I going to get weed? And like I had a shoot booked in 2020 at the end of the year. And I was like, oh, you don't need to smoke. It's only one night, right? I slept 1 hour that night. I don't even know what I took to help me sleep. Probably like melatonin, Benadryl. There's this allergy pill that they prescribe for sleep sometimes called like hydroxine. It's non-addictive. I don't know if I had that prescribed yet. But I remember just taking whatever I could to sleep, and it did not work. I had 1 hour of sleep. My body was so reliant on weed to sleep that it was literally physically impossible for me to sleep without anything. And it still is. I cannot go to sleep without some sort of substance. Right now I'm trying to do melatonin with L-theanine and 5-HTP, and sometimes I need something extra on top of that anyways. I will say I haven't smoked in about almost 2 months. I don't know if I should talk about my withdrawals as well, but you guys, for as much as I was smoking, I was either smoking like a gram of a cartridge a day. A gram of a cartridge a day. Those things will last people like a month. One day, I would smoke it all down. Okay? It was either an eighth of weed, of high THC weed, or a gram of cartridge a day. Around $700 a month is what I was paying. Okay? The withdrawal?
Weed withdrawal isn't a thing. You can't get physically addicted to weed. It's not a thing.
I mean, cold sweats at night, insomnia, vivid dreams, extreme nausea for weeks, stomach cramps, GI issues, aka like diarrhea, bloating, headaches, irritability. Like, yes, it's not like alcohol where I'm going to have seizures when I quit. I understand I do not have an opioid addiction to where I should taper off and go into a medical facility to do a safe detox. I understand that. But for people to say that weed withdrawal and weed addiction isn't real just because they've never been addicted or because they can't fucking admit to themselves that they might be addicted really frustrates me. And I don't think there's enough. This isn't talked about enough. Don't even fucking bring up CHS, cannabis hypermesis syndrome. Go Google it. Go fucking look it up. Some people smoke for so long that they end up having cyclical vomiting to the point where they cannot stop vomiting and they have to go to the fucking hospital. And if they don't get a fucking IV and kidney, whatever the fuck, there have been cases of death. Weed can't kill you. No, the weed can't. But the reactions to it from long-term use for high THC strains can really fuck you up and give you CHS. And there's a whole fucking Reddit forum all about CHS. I think it's called CHS Info. You guys, this information is real. My experience is real. And for people to invalidate it just because I don't have as of extreme withdrawal as alcohol, opioids, heroin, whatever, it just like, it's so fucking invalidating. It's so invalidating. I want to relapse so bad right now. I was just doing 2 days worth of tax stuff. All I've been thinking about for a whole week is just smoking weed. That's all I want to do. I mean, I've had to unfollow every weed account because it's triggering for me. Tommy Chong. I had to unfollow fucking Tommy Chong. It's really sad. Like, I'm this close from relapsing right now. And I posted about it on a website, and the first comment is, can you tell me why you think you're addicted? And then the other comment, well, not many people get addicted to weed. Well, I don't think weed addiction is real. Weed withdrawal isn't real. I think you're in denial that you might be a weed addict, my friend. I'm not trying to tell you that you are, but if you are experiencing the same feelings that I'm experiencing, it is at least substance abuse. And I believe substance abuse happens before addiction. And for me, it was like, if I didn't smoke, I got symptoms. So my body, and you know what? It's probably still stored in me. I think it's stored in your fat for like 3 months or something. THC is stored in your fat. And so I'm probably not even through the worst of it. I'm probably not even technically like fully cleansed of it at this point. Yeah, I guess the point to this video was just like, please don't invalidate someone if they tell you they're addicted to something. It's highly frustrating, and it makes you feel very isolated and like you're alone, and that there's really not that many people you can talk to. And I have toyed with the idea of going to like a marijuana addiction. They have MA, it's called Marijuana Addicts Anonymous or something like that. I've toyed with it, and I think I'm getting to the point where I need it because I can't even talk to my community about it because I'm immediately invalidated. And that's not their fault. There's a lot of misinformation out there about this stuff. So maybe they'll sit down and take the time to watch this video and see how fucking low you can get with this kind of stuff. I mean, it's literally like I would wake up in the middle of the night and smoke. I would go to sleep with my vape in my hand. Like, I would travel with a THC vape, which technically you can do, and people do, but I would put myself in risky situations. I could have lost my student loans. I could have lost my financial aid. I could have been kicked out of student housing. But I didn't care because I had to get high. And I had to get high because a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. And this isn't to say, like, let's say, knock on wood, if I got cancer tomorrow, you fucking better bet I'm smoking weed for the nausea. You better bet I'm using RSO oil to try to shrink my tumors. There are legitimate medical ways to use weed. And there are legitimate ways to use weed socially and moderately. However, I am not one of those people. I cannot moderate. And not being able to moderate to me means I'm an addict. If I have it, I'm going to smoke it. And I'm going to smoke it every day until it's gone. And so for me, even like, oh, maybe you'll be able to smoke one day. I just feel like I'd be running right back to that dispensary and taking out, ATM withdrawal, $200, ATM withdrawal. I can't get back into that. Maybe in 10 or 20 years, like, I really like being sober, but it's really invalidating when people tell you that your addiction isn't real. And I just want to let you know that you're not alone if you are an addict to weed. Yes, it is a real thing. Weed withdrawal is a real thing. Weed detox is a real thing. No, it is not as extreme as alcohol or opioid withdrawal. No, it's not. I'm not trying to invalidate their addictions and their withdrawals, but I would really hope and pray that they stop invalidating ours, because we don't need to compare. We don't need to compare. Your reality is your reality. Your truth is your truth. And if someone is struggling with weed addiction, I'm going to put some resources below that I kind of used during my process. Some of them I may or may not recommend. Like, there's this weed forum that I tried to post in and Reddit, and they kept deleting my posts, so I got frustrated. But it did have a lot of good info about like things to take while you're detoxing. For me, like ginger gum and mints were really helpful for me, like fidget spinners for the hand addiction. Honestly, I had blow pops all the time. I would just put blow pops in my purse, so whenever I was driving, when I would normally vape, I would do that. If you guys want to see more, I don't know what else I could talk about with this, but like, I just wanted to let you know you're not alone and you're not crazy for feeling like you are a weed addict and you're addicted to weed, because I know how you feel. And I cannot moderate, and it's okay if you can't either. It's just being self-aware of that. You can't make someone stop smoking until they're ready. So if you're watching this because your friend is a weed addict, just be there for them, and just like when they say something like, man, I think I really want to quit, then say something like, I'm proud of you. You know, I'm proud of you. I think that would be really great for you. I'm really proud of you. But you cannot force someone to quit, and shaming them over it is not going to help anybody out. So I don't even know if I'm going to edit this. I'm probably just going to slap a watermark on and just be done with it. I don't even want to review this. I just want to throw this out there because I'll probably title it like Weed Addiction is Real or something like that. And I know it's not going to be monetized and it might flag my account, but this information needs to get out there. And I just want you guys to know you're not alone. And it's real. And yeah, man, that's about it. I love you guys. See you later. Bye.